I want to talk about fear. And I'm not talking about fear the way people usually talk about it as just an emotion or something you feel when something goes wrong. I'm talking about fear as a gateway. Because the biggest gateway that the enemy has into every single person's life, including mine, is fear. I come from a place of trauma. I come from a place of abuse, rejection, abandonment, a place where your voice is constrained, a place where you feel helpless. And when that happens early in your life, you don't lose your understanding of right and wrong. You know what's right. You know what's wrong, but you lose your ability to stand in it. So what happens? You adapt. You survive. You start making decisions not from truth, but from fear. I was a child who was joyful, open, free, and I became a child who was quiet, fearful, watchful. And the first negative emotion I ever truly experienced was fear, terror. And when you live in an environment where you are not protected, you start building your life around survival. You start making decisions that are about self-preservation. You start trying to meet expectations that you think will keep you safe. And here's the thing, that survival mechanism works. It keeps you alive, but it builds your life on unstable ground because now you're building your identity. Without guidance, without support, without truth being rooted properly. And that kind of foundation, it's like building your house on sand. The moment something shifts, everything shakes. So you grow up, and now you're making decisions about self. My decisions, my rights, my control. But what I came to realize is that everything rooted in my, when it's driven by fear, is not freedom. It's survival. And survival, when it's rooted in fear, will always align you with darkness. Even when you don't know it. I didn't know it. I was praying. I was seeking God. Church was the only place that felt like light to me. It was the only place that felt safe. But my environment didn't change. The oppression didn't stop. The fear didn't leave. And then it got deeper. It entered my dreams. Terror dreams. Being chased. Being attacked. Wild animals coming after me. And as a child, you don't understand what that is. You just know it's fear. And when I spoke about it, it was dismissed. So I learned something very early. Be quiet. Handle it yourself. And that's where the shift happens. Because now you're not just afraid, you're alone in your fear. So what do? You take control. I didn't trust anyone. My relationships were about control. My environment had to be perfect. If something felt off, I would isolate. I would cut people off. I would disappear. And on the outside, it looked like strength. But on the inside, it was fear. And here's what fear does. Fear doesn't just sit by itself. Fear opens doors. Once fear enters, everything else follows. Anxiety, addiction, depression, control, pride, anger, false comfort. Because now you're trying to fix something that fear created. You start looking for comfort in people, in food, in titles, in control. You build a version of yourself that looks strong, but it's built on fear. And this is where I need you to understand something clearly. Fear is not neutral. Fear is agreement. Fear is worship. Because whatever you fear, you give power to. You submit to it. You obey it. You build your life around it. And the enemy doesn't need you to bow down to him. He just needs you to fear. Because once you fear, you step out of alignment with God. God is not fear. He is love. He is power. He is a sound mind. So the moment fear takes over, you are no longer operating in him. And now the enemy has access. And once he has access, he builds. He builds lies. He builds strongholds. He builds identity around fear. And then he does something even more deceptive. He offers you solutions, but the solutions are counterfeit. So now you're trying to solve fear with more things that keep you bound. And all of this started with fear. I had to come to a place where I realized this thing has a grip on me. And believing in God was not enough to break it. I had to confront it. I had to look at the very thing that had been chasing me my entire life and stop running. For me, that looked like letting go of everything I was using to cope, even things that felt safe, sleeping pills, crutches, anything that was helping me avoid the fear instead of confronting it. And I said, I'm going to trust God fully, and it was not easy. The fear didn't just disappear. The attacks didn't just stop, but I kept challenging it. Every thought, every belief, every lie, and something started to shift. I went from being chased to confronting what was chasing me. I went from being afraid to standing. And I realized something that changed everything. The enemy is not as powerful as I believed. He only had power because I agreed with him. And the moment I stopped agreeing, things started breaking. This is why you have to confront fear. Because fear is not just affecting your emotions. It is blocking your authority. You cannot walk in the authority that Jesus gave you while bowing to fear. You cannot step into your identity while agreeing with intimidation. Fear will keep you off your position. And when you step off your position, the enemy takes it. So you have to look at the fear. You have to look at the giant. You have to look at the lion and say, you do not have authority over me. Not because of me, but because of who I belong to. And when you start doing that, even if you're shaking, even if you don't feel ready, things begin to change because God meets you in that step. So if you are struggling right now, to look at the root, and I promise you, you will find fear. And if you confront it, you begin to close doors. And if you confront it, you begin to close doors. And when those doors close, new ones open. May the Lord keep you. May He bless you. May He watch over you. May He strengthen you in every place where fear has tried to take hold of your life. May He restore your mind, your heart, and your identity in Him. May He remind you of who you are and who you belong to. And may He give you the boldness to stand, even when you are afraid. In the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ.